Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other shore. A scribe approached and said to him, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus answered him, "Foxes have dens and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head." Another of his disciples said to him, "Lord, let me go first and bury my father." But Jesus answered him, "Follow me, and let the dead bury the dead." The Gospel of the Lord. A small group of people can make a profound difference for a nation or even great cities. And this is what you have here with Abram haggling with God on the saving of a city. Even if it was just 50 people, would you save the city? You see how much influence these 50 people had. Finally, Abram gets them back down to 10. Just 10 people can influence through their intercessory power the viability of 2 large cities. Can you imagine that? Now, God doesn't go back on his word because it was only Lot's family who seemed to be in a place where they wanted to be saved. And indeed they were, but the rest was lost. But what interests me is how at least 10 people to intercede. This is the task of a disciple. The foxes have dens and the birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. These are the ones who break away from the crowd. The crowd that seems to be so corrupt and going under, or at the very least, the crowd of indifference. Those who would be willing to abandon even the security of their lairs have a special calling and a place, perhaps to save the city. Lord, let me go first bury my father. Seems to be a cruel statement at first when Jesus says, "No, follow me." But one could say that Jesus is asking this person to finally bury all the deadness in his life. Leave it all behind and follow me. Don't be occupied with that stuff anymore. All the things that lead to death and destruction. It's time to follow me. It's interesting, this guy who says, "Let me first go bury my father," he's a disciple. So he's along the road, but his conversion requires more attention. His conversion requires dying to self, dying to deadness, dying to the dross, and being able to follow Jesus more radically for the sake of the city. We are like the salt of the earth, Jesus would say. We seem to be rather innocuous, and yet the people who come to daily Mass have a profound impact on the city, more than you know. Perhaps it's a good time to be reminded of that, lest we be discouraged. Imagine the amount of people who are saved by allowing Jesus to be saving people through our prayers, through our intercession, through our hope, and our virtuous lives that become a saving point and a revelation of what it is to suffer the cross for the sake of a sinful world. This is the job of the disciple. Perhaps a small minority, seeming to be nothing to the world, but to everything Jesus. And so much so that God respects and allows them seemingly to influence what happens in the future.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam merum isti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.